Ladies and gentlemen, the team over at BlueBird Simulations trying to make the 757 for Microsoft Flight Simulator still continues to tease us with more amazing preview videos, this time going over to showcase Wingflex as well as the internals of the aircraft. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, guys? Flyby Simulations here, and welcome back to another news video on the channel. Apologies for not being available for the last 7 days. I have been away for some personal stuff. My dad was here to visit me, so I have been busy with a bit of personal stuff, but worry not, Flyby Simulations is back to give you all of the news you require for everything flight simulation. Of course, I'll be here to provide all of the updates for you guys, but if you guys want to do your part in staying up to date, make sure to subscribe to the channel and also hit that little bell icon right next to the subscribe button to stay up to date with everything in the world of flight sim. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so right before starting out with this video, I have to say that BlueBird Simulations now have their own YouTube channel, which I will leave a link to down in the description section of my video here. So if you guys really want to delve into the development process yourselves, I highly encourage you guys to go check out this YouTube channel and check out all of their videos on their channel. So the first video we're going to be looking at is this one. The team is definitely working on dynamic Wingflex based on different dynamic parameters that the aircraft is interacting with. In this clip, as you can see, we have the aircraft rolling on the runway. We can see some minor vibrations, I would say, towards the end of the wing, which is pretty realistic, but I'll have to say that it's very minor. Now, I personally don't have too much personal experience with flying on a 757. Someone in the comments needs to point out if this much Wingflex while rolling on the runway during takeoff is accurate. Now, something that's being asked in the community here as the video plays is the sounds. Now, note that these sounds that you hear in the back of the video will not be the final sounds. Yes, it is not going to be this. These are very generic sounds. I think it's been taken from the sound profile of the default 747 for the simulator. The aircraft, of course, is still in its preliminary stages of testing, and so the sound profile will be completely readjusted prior to release. Now, I don't know if they're going to go into a real 757 and record sounds. I hope BlueBird Simulations does this, but if they don't, I hope they definitely come up with better sounds than these vacuum cleaner noises that you hear in the background here. Next up, as the aircraft continues to climb out, we also see the flaps in action. So again, we saw some pretty good screenshots of the exterior modeling of the aircraft in the previous video I made on the 757. If you guys want to check it out, it's on the top right hand corner of the screen, as well as in the description section of the video. In that video, we saw the flaps in action, the slats in action. This is the first time we can see the flaps from behind the wing, and we can see that they're being retracted into the wing surface, of course. And I have to say that I hope that there's going to be more improvement in the exterior modeling of the flaps. I think it's in very early stages. I don't think this is going to be the final version, but it's definitely something I would like to see improved. Currently, it looks a little bland to me. It looks a little too clean. I want to see some more, fuel leaks, some rivets, looking realistic, some oil spills and so on. 757 has been in service for quite a long time, and I really am hoping to see that level of wear and tear on the aircraft. Next up, we can also see this other video where we can see the aircraft at a higher altitude while the aircraft turns. It is quite a severe bank angle, but decent enough to show us the wing flex in action. You can see how the end of the wings are again bouncing and moving about quite realistically. I do have to say that personally, this is again a personal opinion, never have flown on a 757 personally, so wouldn't know much, but from other wide-body airliners with long wings, I would have to say that I expected a little bit more wing flex here, especially with the vigorous movements the aircraft is performing at such a high altitude, taking into account air resistance, winds, and so on. Again, super early stages which will continue to be improved, but we have promising signs here, definitely. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, now this is the exciting video. This is the first time we're seeing the cockpit internals of the 757 in video form. The team have shared some photos of the 757, but never in a video format where we can actually see the gauges and the instruments moving about. Now, as you can see, speaking of the instruments and gauges, majority of them have already been modeled, which is fantastic to see. I mean, this aircraft is slated to release in the fall or summer of 2023, and the fact that most of the modeling for the cockpit components has already been completed means that the team will have more time to dedicate to performance tuning to make the 757 fly realistically, which is great to see. Now we'll discuss all of these instruments as the video progresses. Of course, the video is showcasing an Autoland procedure landing in Lima Foxtrot Papa Golf or Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, France. Now as you can see, the weather is extremely stormy, so IMC conditions are expected, and realistically, Autoland would be used in a situation like this in real life. First things first, let's talk about the cockpit textures then. Now, from this early build standpoint, the aircraft looks great, as I said. The buttons seem to have a real 3D depth to them, as you can see. The lighting is jaw-dropping, very reminiscent, actually, of the early 80s Boeing aircraft. The glare shield lighting with that orange, sort of tinge to it, the floodlights, as well as the panel backlighting, all looks very, very realistic. This is all with more modeling and more patching up to go before final release, as I said. Most importantly here, we can see the aircraft's performance. This is the first time we're ever seeing the gauges actually ticking and moving. Now, the first positive sign here is that we do see a working FMS that looks like a Boeing 757 FMS. That is fantastic news. A lot of people have been asking what level of detail we can expect with this aircraft, and for those people, this video perfectly answers that. The FMS of the 757 is being designed from the ground up, and it isn't a port over from another aircraft or anything. Then now let's come to the main instruments. Starting with the PFD, or the primary flight display, I would have to say the colors look very, very good. Very realistic. I really like the lighter pink flight director bars and all the enunciations on the top. I'm actually relatively quite surprised as to how much of the modeling and basic instrument performance has already been done for the aircraft. Now, the story with the ND, or the navigation display down here, is the same. You can see nearby airports here, which means that functionality would most likely be included by clicking it on the EFIS panel on the 757. The heading and the track line can also be seen here, so they've obviously worked on this. We also have a series of analog instruments here too, which in my opinion look fantastic, especially the speed tape on the left. This one caught my eye as it seems to have realistic ticking numbers. Super pleased with how they've modeled this. I would wager to say that even the MCP, or the mode control autopilot panel over here, every time you move the numbers, it would have that ticking animation, which I'm super excited to see. Even the Autoland indicator over here has been modeled, with this bar saying landing when the aircraft is ready to land. Very, very nice stuff indeed. Now, I personally can't speak much about the engine performance here since I'm not too well versed with the 757. I said that before, but I'm sure someone in the comments will chime in about those. What do you guys think about the oil pressures, the hydraulic quantities, as well as maybe the engine vibrations? Is everything in order? Do you think they need to change some of these values? I'm sure they will, but if you guys have any feedback, again, leave it in the comment section of the video. You'd never know if BlueBird might be watching this just to see what the community is thinking about their upcoming aircraft. Now, the rest of the video simply shows the Autoland procedure taking place, so I'll fast forward to the last stages of the video and we can then discuss how accurate the Autoland is so far. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. So as you saw, the final touchdown was a little bit disappointing. I'm all for positivity and everything, but I have to point out flaws when there are flaws. It was significantly to the right of the center line and definitely missed the piano tiles landing zone. I don't know if this is to do with the airport scenery being used or the ILS beacons being misaligned at this airport, but I doubt it. I'm pretty sure it's just the aircraft that needs better tuning and performance optimization to work correctly. I do have to say that prior to touching down, the flare seemed pretty nice, and you could also see the flare enunciated on the primary flight display, which means they've gone down to the level of minutiae to be able to model this already, which is really good to see in my opinion. The aircraft does align itself on the center line pretty well after touching down as well, so good to see. But as I said, definitely more improvements are needed here. Again, highly encourage you guys to check out the full set of videos on BlueBird Sim's channel to watch the videos for yourselves. If not though, you can always subscribe to Flyby Simulations to stay up to date with everything in the world of flight sim. Not only the 757, we have some fantastic news coming with the PMDG set of updates, as well as some utilities being released for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to wrap up the video. What did you guys think? Do you think that the 757 is making good headway? The team have said that this is not going to be a study level airliner, in air quotes. It's not going to simulate complex failures and so on. It's basically just there for point-to-point operations, and they will continue to update the aircraft going forward. With that all said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for flying by.